style. Factions' faces are just they're so bad for the most part. And we'll do blue or I don't know, whatever, red. I could have in-game music, but I don't know. I love the in-game music for this game, but oh man, when it starts playing for like the 40th time, it just the loop. Whew, my brain just can't handle it. Like the loops are just they're too short. Okay, we'll skip our tutorial. Because it's factions. The tutorial is very simple and easy. Yes, I'm sure I would love to go to the monastery. Oh. Hotkeys. I should have just pressed hotkeys. Disable that. So, if I open the chest, I can't actually interact with it, but it's still annoying because I have my chest set up to open every time I go into town. Alright, so we'll do you and you to you F3. Yeah, I guess we'll do the bow on one. I don't know. So, starter bow goes in the bin. I'm not going to allow myself to use non, Game of the Year edition bonus items. So stuff like the Glacial Blade. Not that I have a use for it anyways, but, Hourglass Staff, that kind of stuff, I'm not going to allow it. Just the straight generic / bonus stuff, that's all fine. It's just basically the only one that's useful is the shield, the wand, and the flat bow. Which is not nothing, but like, this bow is just in many ways straight up worse than the flat bow because it's a longbow. Longbows have better, what's the word I'm looking for? Arcs, but they attack slower. And if I care about the arcs, I'm either going to use recurve bow or a short bow for the most part. Come on, pull over to the... Okay, fine. We're gonna do it this way. Thank you. Come on, Sujin, help. Yeah, I mean, you might not mind, but, like, the whole point of something like this is to create, like, a genuinely fair, solo experience, if there is such a thing. All right, so I go open this cage. Oh yeah, that's right. He runs around that way for some indeterminate reason. Um, but yeah, like the whole point of this is to do as much as you can to, well, play the game as solo for as much of the content as you can do, and if you can't do something, then you just don't get to do the content. But you're not supposed to use chest, like, recreating a character with access to your chest and just popping, a bunch of consets and pecons and blowing through the game. It's not hard. It's not actually a challenge. There's nothing interesting or, special about doing that. I don't think. So the goal here is, you know, do something that's difficult and requires you to come up with, different builds for stuff. Some of the builds that I came up with for doing things before were just ridiculous. You would never run a bar like that in normal circumstances. You know, doing, Ice Caves of Sorrow with no damage skills on your bar besides Read the Wind and using Distracting Shot to, disable Horizon of Healing. That's just weird. Let's see, Assassin. That's gonna be annoying. I don't know, Whirling didn't actually block anything. That's sad. Other than the Assassin, which was one of the closer ones, broke right away. I think that broke before the Necro, which was much farther away. I guess the Necro had touch skills queued up on me or something? That's weird. I don't know, but, you're making it sound like, there's a big reward or something. I don't know about that. I'm just doing it because it's interesting. The the depth of the mechanics in this game are, why you keep playing. Or at least that's why I keep playing. And, you know, it you're forced to think about some of those mechanics a lot more. Oh, what is this auto-pathing? It wanted to run me into the wall. Um, but like you're forced to think about things when you start adding restrictions like this. I guess I'll just I'm a bit of wilderness. Mm, I don't know. I mean, like WoW has its own decent mechanics. Like, I'm not gonna criticize WoW for being shallow or dull or anything like that. Like, WoW, there is a lot of skill involved. I think WoW has a lot less positional relevance. Like, your positioning doesn't matter for general PvE content as much. Like, Guild Wars really punishes you if you get out of position. Let me double check what I can get here. All right. Hunter. All right. So, mm, I mean, I think a lot of that's kind of underselling. Like a lot of WoW mechanics used to be pretty like simplistic like that, but I mean, from what I've seen, they've made them a lot more uh, in depth, you know, over time. Like my issue with WoW is that it's a game where the grind is the game, like that's the point of the game, and I don't care for it. But it's definitely not like a bad game. It's just I don't like it too much. Let's see, get rid of you, get rid of you, you. Guess we'll use that. But like, you know, I think the general PVE in WoW is quite dull, and the end game content is what you're playing for games like that, generally speaking. But and for a lot of guild wars, that's also what you're doing. All right, I want assassin. Let me double check something here. Skill quest. Because as I recall, there's not really any benefit to doing the other ones. Like I get more experience, but I don't actually care about that. Um so yeah, you don't like the monk skills. You basically get them all for um like retribution. Like I don't care about that. I could just hero skill trainer that if I even want it. But like, so I'm looking at the skill acquisition quest pages. Basically, all of the skills here are skills that you get from profession changers, anyways, or at least all of the relevant ones are. So I don't actually have to do any of these. So I'll just go with assassin and stop worrying. Stop thinking about it too much. I guess I'll just walk back in. I don't know if it's faster to map travel or not. It's a little random. But yeah, it would have been faster to map travel. Because you always spawn here. Oh well. Yeah. I mean, like, WoW definitely has problems. Like, every game is going to have problems. But, you know, there's a reason that WoW's been going for, basically 20 years at this point. It still has millions of subscribers. Like, the glory days of WoW are over, but that I think that to me that's less to do with WoW being a better, a worse game than it used to be, and more to do with just people moving on. Like I knew, back when I was in high school, I knew a lot of people who were like, in their 30s who played WoW a lot, but you know, there's other things now, and most people, like, the Zoomers don't really have interest in MMOs to the same extent. Like, it's very much a generational thing. Um, there are some valid complaints that I've seen of stuff like the Dungeon Finder ruined the community aspects of the game, because you know I knew people who they did specific things, or like they handled high end trades for people, and they were known on the server that they played on. And it's just like, if you want this thing done, or like one of these things done, talk to this guy and he'll do it. Eve Online has that with let's see, I want DC definitely. I'm just gonna sit here and auto attack these on a bow. But you know, Eve's got that. There's a guy who handles Titan blueprints, and that's like all he does. I mean, he's fabulously wealthy in the game, but he's never ever once ripped somebody off, and that's why people trust him. I mean, he's got such a name for himself at this point that honestly, even with some proof, he could scam somebody and people would believe him over the other guy, even if they had proof. But like the Dungeon Finder, where WoW turned into this game where you just stand in a city and queue up for stuff to level. I can see complaints of how that ruined the game. I can totally understand how somebody could feel that way, but at the same time, the same stuff that took away from the community aspect tremendously helped a lot of the casual players. This is a real riveting gameplay right here. Standing here auto attacking. Ooh. Okay. So we'll go up to 4. Oh no, we can't. Bummer. Well, that was a waste of points then. Yep. Like, most of my experiences with World of Warcraft were during Wrath of the Lich King, and at the time, mana was basically just kind of not actually a resource. Yeah. Yeah, like gear score stuff really hurts World of Warcraft, I think. I think that that is a completely fair complaint. Um, People, like, some friends of mine were in groups that specifically did content that they weren't really supposed to be able to with, while under geared. And, it worked for the most part. Like, occasionally, they'd have a wipe just because, like, well, we can't really do enough DPS for this, but, you know, oh well, it happens. Actually, why am I even... Can't control that. I'm not going to run through these guys. But, like, what was I thinking? I think a lot of stuff is people just kind of looking at things with rose-tinted nostalgia. Like, when you had no idea what the mechanics were in the game, like, it was a lot of fun. Because you were exploring and discovering stuff, and so was everybody else at the same time. But I mean, if you look at classic WoW stuff, what was it? It was like less than a week, and people had beaten the final content in whatever iteration of classic they had at launch. Like, that's just because everybody knows so much about the mechanics and stuff nowadays. So it's what people want is they want to go back to that experience when they were naive and just had no clue what the fuck they were doing, and you can't do that. It doesn't work. You can't unlearn the stuff. I mean, I guess you could take a drill to your temple, but it's probably going to have a few other side effects. I could try to run through there. I'm not going to bother. I'll just go the long way around. Like, I knew a bunch of people who were super hyped up for classic WoW, and it's like, hey, we're gonna go back to the good old days of this, and then they start playing it. It's like, wow, this game is shit now because when you're 15 and you know WoW is a totally new, a game like World of Warcraft is just a totally new experience that you've never encountered before. Dealing with killing 300 of an enemy to get 5 of an item you need to turn in for a quest doesn't bother you that much. But nowadays you look at that and it's like, God, this is just boring. I've been stuck here for an hour and a half. That kind of content padding just doesn't appeal to the modern audience. I think that's part of the reason why actually, Guild Wars is still as popular as it is, because the content isn't that padded. There's pointless, banal, busy work. Like, oh, you got to go get PvE ranks and stuff like that to do high-end content. But like, okay, what they do? We'll put you on. Ignore that. All right, yeah, we got it. Tell them we would like to move. But I don't know. There were some people who were, anticipating that like classic WoW was going to be like one of the first games to, hit 1 million concurrent people on Twitch and stuff, and it's just like, it was a pipe dream. Like, there's a lot of hype for that, but it's not, hype alone isn't enough. I got hybrid Nick items this week. Yeah. I mean, like, dailies in Guild Wars 1 are entirely optional for the most part. Like, it's just kind of a... And they're not even a great way to farm, but, like, I think a problem that a lot of games have is they treat dailies like a way for... as a... effectively like a primary income stream for casual players. I think that's a problem. It's not that casual players, shouldn't have access to a decent revenue source. It's just that if the scaling on that is so much higher than, basically anything else that you could be doing with your time, or if there's exclusive rewards tied to it, I think it becomes a problem. Like Guild Wars 2 had this as a major problem. It's actually a big part of the reason why I quit playing Guild Wars 2 at all is they just implemented these caps on what you could get for stuff, and a lot of the stuff was tied to dailies. And like, I'm sorry, the dailies in Guild Wars 2 are just fucking boring. Maybe they're better now, but like, it's like, go kill, 30 things, go complete a bunch of objectives, kill 3 bosses, or, whatever. Like, it was just, you ran around in a low-level zone as part of huge zergs, and they were running 24/7, and you just jump in, you map travel to a couple of waypoints, and then you just, go kill a couple of things, and it took you 40 minutes, and that was your daily quest. And you had to do it because there were exclusive rewards tied to your dailies. And I remember looking at it going, um, if I want to do, this guy's got my belt pouch quest, I believe. Belt pouch. If I want to, get all of the ascended back pieces, and I mean, bear in mind, like, the stat difference on this is like one or two of, whatever the stat is, and it's got, infusion slots for agony resistance, but like, if you're doing, a random dungeon or whatever, the difference between having an ascended back piece or not is not going to be what causes you to wipe. Whoops. It's just, the fact of the matter is that you couldn't get the absolute max stats unless you did the dailies for, like a month. And I'm sitting there going, I want to make a bunch of characters. Well, what do I do? Like, yeah, I don't care about any of this stuff. Go away. So, I had to make a choice. Do I want to sit here and do basically what amounted to over a year's worth of dailies? Or do I just not care anymore? And, well, I decided I don't fucking care anymore. Like, the system in Guild Wars 1, before you could trade stuff, that was, kind of shitty. Like, it kind of sucked. But, or, trade the Zation coins, I mean. But, like, once you could trade Zation coins, the system's great. Like, I don't think it's perfect, but, you never have to do them. And, what I do with them is, I have a bunch of characters on alt accounts that can do, access certain easy ones to do. And just, when I'm bored, I'll like 4-man push, a bunch of extra alt accounts through the campaign or whatever. And then what I do is, for example, Rillen Refuge or Ruins of Mora or whatever. I've got like, 50, 60 characters that can do those on a bunch of accounts. So I'll just, spend an hour doing that a bunch of times, and then I'll just sit on the quest rewards until much later. See, I already did these. Is there anyone I'm missing? Got that. I think I got this. Okay. But, that was, it's a great way to, make a ton of coins if you want to, do that. And you don't have to. It's more worth my time if I'm just trying to, min-max money to just go do DOA runs and then just buy the coins if I need them.
Lexon disconnected from LOA.
Let's see, get rid of these. Alright, I actually need to start thinking about my build a little bit here. Wilderness Survival, that gives me 5 regen. That's actually kind of worthwhile. Marksmanship. Shroud is way too strong of a skill to ignore. Pin down, I want to have. Distracting shot, I also want to have always. I should buy dash now, because I can. I have the gold. I'm running low level with degen. And I'm bringing dash because I like going faster. It's also useful for breaking stuff. But I'm just gonna, you hit stuff with apply poison, and then, you, degen them. It's Ranger Assassin for the moment. I will ascend relatively quickly, and then I can change my secondary, but, like, I don't need to change it for quite a while. Ranger, so the reason I'm doing Ranger Assassin for this is, Ranger gets access to expertise, which is kind of a broken fucking attribute. It does a lot of stupid stuff, including making your attack skills very cheap. Dagger spam is an incredibly high damage build, and assassin just in general has a lot of mobility and survival skills. So I can run around with dash and stuff. Shroud of Distress is an insanely broken skill. So by going Ranger Assassin, I get access to Ranger armor, which is one of the best armor in the game. Expertise has energy reduction for a lot of skills that I want to use, and a lot of good survival skills. So like I get access to Throw Dirt. I get access to let's see, they're all level 3s. Well, just Shroud. I can sit here and just face tank this, and couldn't really do that on other profession because 75% chance to block is kind of ridiculous when it also gives you health regeneration. Yeah, I could do that. This quest like a million different ways, but like, I don't have to think about it. So here's what's I guess if I want to simplify this even more.
Michael joined LOA.
Here's what's completely
Michael
broken about expertise.
No more
so
Bloom Simulator. We have a 49
this attribute has
on LOA.
All of your ranger skills become cheaper. All of your attack skills do too. So if I want to run, a bunch of dagger combos that cost 5 energy, if I get up to 13 expertise, instead of costing 5, these cost 2. Which is ridiculous, because it means that you can just sit there and spam them for over and over and over and over again. And dagger spam does a ton of damage, relative to what basically anything else does. I guess I should have kept my starter daggers, because I might be using them later, but so the dagger spam is a very high damage build. Shroud of Distress, this skill with a few points in it, you can maintain it pretty easily. It gives you health regeneration and a 75% chance to block. So the health regeneration, with minimal investment in it, it's not incredible, but it's enough to let you survive stuff. And because you're blocking 3/4 of incoming hits, that means that other stuff like dagger combos don't always go off. Or like if a foe uses a big adrenaline skill, then they have to hit you again in order to build up the adrenaline to use other adrenaline skills. So like just the block alone on Shroud is already crazy. The health regeneration is nuts. Expertise is itself a crazy attribute because you have random stuff like this: Throw Dirt, Whirling Defense. This skill, you throw dirt at people, pocket sand, you make them miss 90% of the time for 20 seconds unless they have condition removal. This skill, incredibly long duration, high block. This skill also does damage. So Whirling Defense, if you block a ranged attack, it deals AoE damage around you, which means that you can just run a whole bunch of farming builds, or you can use it to augment your physical damage output, whatever. That there's a ton of cross profession combos between Ranger Assassin, and just in general, expertise by itself with daggers already is very strong. The fact that you get 2 axes for very powerful survival on top of that is really, really powerful. Ranger also gets access to marksmanship stuff. So bows for general PvE suck because they're very slow to attack. They don't really do a lot of damage. But for a solo challenge where you need control effects, bows are insane. And it's because bows have access to snares as well as degen stuff. So particularly in the low level zones, apply poison plus hunter shot is insane. Poison is 4 health degeneration, bleeding is 3. Together, that's 7. Each point of degen is 2 health per second lost. So the foes that I'm attacking, they've got like, 130, 140 health. I can throw 14 damage per second on them and then attack to other things, because this is for 24 seconds. Every single time I attack, I apply poison. So I can just attack one target, tab, attack another target, and it'll still be on the first target by the time I get back to it. Yeah, exactly. Root and dot. Guild Wars would be, snare and degen, but, slightly different lingo, same concept, right? So, and there's tons of situations where that can apply. You also get access to a lot of different run buffs. So, right now, because I'm on the tutorial island, I only get dash. Dash is, 50% faster for 3 seconds. It's great skill. Has a few situations where it's not that tremendously useful. I didn't even pop my imp before, did I? Look at how fast his health's going down, just from the degen. Oh, I need chitin. Oh, he dodged that. That's the drawback of flat bows, is the arc on them is very high. That's just 3 degen. His health's just tick, 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 tick. At higher level, degen becomes less effective. But, there's a number of dungeons, for example, that you can do where you're still, you throw a dot on the boss and then run away. Because I can, do that. Oops, okay, so he started moving. But I'll run up ahead and show you, I guess. No, there's not really any good targets to do it on. But, I can throw an attack and then just start running away, so the mob doesn't even have a chance to, hit me. And that, it's not hard to do. It's very straightforward. I will need lots of cutting. But there's a lot of dungeon bosses that, you just basically can't man fight 1v1. So you do hit and run tactics. So in Prophecies, the tutorial, it wasn't a tutorial island, it was like this tutorial region. And, that was pre-searing, and then, the Char burned the entire country, and, you flee across, the mountains to find greener pastures. Remember, grass is greener on the other side of the hill.